What if I told you the best companies to invest in are the companies that no one dares to own? The companies with terrible market sentiment. These are companies that people think their business models are completely disrupted for one reason or another. Well, let's go back and look in 2022. Meta, a stock that everybody knows today. They dropped over 76% because of terrible sentiment and everyone thought that company was just done. Well, if you invested in Meta at $90 a share, congrats on having over 650% returns today. They were a company nobody wanted to own, and if you took the chance and invested in that company, you made a lot of money. That's not the only example. Netflix in 2022 was in the same boat. They're a company that also dropped around 75%, and if you invested in Netflix during the time that nobody wanted to own Netflix, you also had over 600% returns. Well, I found another stock in this boat. Adobe. Adobe is down over 35% in the past year, and over the past 5 years, they have no gains. They are actually down 3%. People think Adobe's business model is completely destroyed because of AI, because they think you could use these free editing softwares and edit pictures and videos for free with AI. They think Adobe is done. The business model is finished. Well, I completely disagree. I think Adobe is thriving right now with AI and is going to make them a much more dominant company. And I'm not just saying this to say it. Let's look at the numbers. Their revenue is growing at a fantastic rate. They've been growing double-digit revenue over the past 5 years at a steady pace. Just look at this chart. This is not a chart of a dying company. This is a thriving company. Let's look at some of the numbers from the past earnings report. They hit a record level of revenue, $5.87 billion, which is 11% growth year over year, and non-GAAP EPS of $5.06, which is 13% growth year over year. These numbers are growing at a fantastic rate, but great numbers are great, but they're nothing without a powerful business moat. For anyone unfamiliar with what Adobe is an undisputed leader in creative and document software. Think Photoshop, Illustrate, Premiere Pro for every professional designer, artist, and filmmaker. Think Acrobat and PDF for nearly every single business in the world. For contracts, documents, digital signatures, they are the essential tool that powers the digital economy. What makes them so powerful is their subscription-based, recurring revenue model. This is not a one and done software sale. It's predictable, high margin income that flows in every month. Okay, so I've mentioned some numbers, and great numbers like they have are great and all, but without a powerful moat, they're nothing. Luckily for Adobe, they have an extremely strong moat. One of the things that make this moat super strong is their high switching costs. Imagine there's a professional design agency with 50 designers. The cost of buying a new software isn't just the cost of the software itself. It's now you have to retrain all these designers that have been using Adobe for years. All the thousands of projects you've created were with Adobe, and now you'd be throwing that all out the window. You'd have to retrain all your employees to learn a new software, and all these thousands of projects are just gone. It's like trying to teach an entire city a new language overnight. It's just insanely expensive and incredibly disruptive. The next reason why Adobe's moat is so strong is because of the network effects. Adobe is the industry standard. If you're a graphic designer, your clients expect files in Photoshop or Illustrate format. If you're a video editor, collaborators send you Premiere Pro files. This creates such a powerful network effect. The more people who use Adobe, the more valuable it becomes and the more people who want to use it. It's a self-reinforcing cycle that benefits everyone for being on it. If you're a new business and you're not on Adobe, you're not going to be connected with everyone else. You can think of this like LinkedIn. The more professionals that are on LinkedIn, the more valuable it becomes for someone like me or you to be on it. You could connect with more people. Same with Adobe. The more people that are using Adobe, the more valuable it becomes for other businesses to be on Adobe as well. Another reason is the ecosystem and integration. These competitors that are popping up might offer one or two good tools, but Adobe offers an entirely integrated ecosystem. You could design a logo in Illustrator, you could bring in a Photoshop for a social media graphic, and then animate it in After Effects, and finally manage your marketing campaign with Experience Cloud. This ecosystem is incredibly powerful. These free AI services people think are going to replace Adobe, they aren't looking into the bigger picture. Adobe has an entire ecosystem that is fully integrated together. It's going to take a lot more damn work to replace Adobe. So, if they're such a strong company, why have they dropped 35%? I've already mentioned the terrible sentiment around it, but there has to be more to it. It boils down to a few fears that I think are completely overblown or just misunderstood by the market. So when tools like Midjourney or DALL-E exploded, the market panicked. The simplistic narrative was, why pay for Photoshop when AI could just generate these photos for free? This ignored a fundamental truth. Professionals don't just need an image. They need the right, pixel-perfect, editable, and often built upon specific brand guidelines. AI is a tool. It's not a replacement for professional creativity or precision. For every amateur dabbling in AI art, there are hundreds of thousands of more professionals who need far more control, collaboration, and integration than standalone AI tools currently offer. Another thing is, Adobe tried to buy Figma for $20 billion. This move was blocked by regulators. This was seen as a double negative. Not only did it highlight a competitive threat for Adobe, they also had to pay a $1 billion fee. While this was a setback, it also forced Adobe to focus heavily on internal innovation, which, as we're already seeing, is starting to pay off. Now, there have also been outside economic factors that have caused this fall off over the past 5 years. 2022 was a horrible year for the market, and most stocks dropped crazy. The whole market dropped over 20%. Now, this isn't something that reflects Adobe personally, but it is something that affected the stock price in the short term. Okay, now let's shatter that narrative that AI is killing Adobe. In fact, Adobe isn't just surviving AI, they're leading it. And more importantly, they're already monetizing it. Adobe CEO has already mentioned that AI is an accelerant to creative opportunity. It's not about replacing creators, it's about empowering them to do more, faster, better, and reach newer audiences. You can think about it like this. AI isn't the whole car. It's a turbocharger on an already powerful engine. Adobe's biggest AI powerhouse is Firefly.
Welcome to today. The day where you no longer have to see the world for what it is.
Adobe Firefly generative AI models are a complete game changer. This is because they're specifically designed to be commercially safe. They're trained on licensed content, ensuring businesses and creators won't face IP infringement charges. This is a massive difference from the world of murky AI origins. What so many people don't realize is these businesses can't just make these AI generated images and use them. They have to be commercially safe. So many people fail to even think about that. A business can't just go on this free image AI generator and create these images without risk. This is why something like Firefly is needed. And Firefly doesn't just have a bunch of cool features. They're actually growing. Total generations across Firefly and the Creative Cloud have topped over 24 billion as of Q2 of 2025. That's an insane amount of content being created with Firefly. Firefly app subscriptions have nearly doubled. This is showing direct monetization. Adobe is seeing 30% quarter-over-quarter growth in full-time subscribers attributed to Firefly, meaning AI is bringing new users to the Adobe ecosystem, to people who may have never even thought about subscribing to Adobe. Adobe also isn't just for creative pros anymore. They're targeting billions of business professionals and consumers who need to be both creative and efficient. This is where Acrobat AI Assistant and Adobe Express come in. Combined monthly active users for Acrobat and Express have surpassed 700 million users, with a 25% year-over-year growth for monthly active users. This is not a company that is dying. This is a company that is thriving so heavily on AI, and people fail to realize it. We're seeing a stunning 11x year-over-year increase in the adaptation of Express capabilities within Acrobat, showing how these tools are merging creativity and productivity seamlessly. Adobe is seeing over a 75% year-over-year increase in students gaining access to Acrobat AI Assistant and Express Premium plans. They are locking into the next generation of users. Express alone added over 8,000 different businesses this quarter, approximately a 6x growth year over year, including major companies like Microsoft, ServiceNow, and even top sport leagues like the MLB and NFL. Tell me that this is a company dying from AI. Tell me this is a company left in the water, failing to innovate. And I'll tell you, you're damn wrong. Adobe is also buying back shares rapidly. Last quarter, they spent $350 million to buy back shares. Looking at this chart, they're consistently buying back shares every quarter, making your shares more and more valuable. And Adobe has actually raised their full year outlooks for revenue and non-GAAP EPS. Companies don't raise their guidance if their business model is being destroyed by AI. They raise it because they're performing well. No investment ever comes without risks, so we need to be aware of these risks and understand what could go wrong. Now, the AI landscape is still incredibly dynamic, which Adobe is doing very well adapting to. There's still a chance that a truly disruptive, commercially viable, open source, or free alternative could emerge and gain great traction. Adobe just needs to stay nimble about this. Also, Adobe has to continue to execute. In a world like today, if you're not innovating, consistently innovating, you'll fall behind. Adobe is not falling behind at all, but they can't just sit back and relax. They have to stay on top. I'm still incredibly confident about this company. Could a company come up that is truly disruptive? Yes. Do I think the chances of that are high? No, because Adobe's moat is so strong. The high switching costs and the network effects make it so hard for a new company to come in and replace Adobe, just like people think is happening right now. These tools aren't untouchable. It's going to take an incredible company to come in and replace them. With that being said, there's no company out there that is untouchable. Amazon isn't untouchable. Nvidia isn't untouchable. Google, Meta, these companies are not untouchable. These great companies can be replaced. It isn't just Adobe facing threats. Every company is facing threats. So what do I expect from a price point of this company over the next 5 years? So analysts are expecting Adobe EPS growth rate to be anywhere between 10% and 16%. So we've thrown some numbers. A bull case for me would be they grow EPS at 16% year over year over the next 5 years, and they're trading around the industry average and the Adobe average 35 PE. This would be, from today's point, a 25% return year over year. A base case for this company would be a growth rate of EPS at 14% and a PE around 30. That, at today's price, would be just under 20% growth for the next 5 years. Then for a bear case, we could look at an EPS around 10% growth and a PE ratio around 25. Even then, at those bear case numbers, we could expect above an 11% return from today's price. For me, this is just such a high quality company that is being thrown in the water right now. You look at my bear case, base case, and bull case, and each number gives us a very good return. This business model is incredible. They're adapting to AI so well. They've had such stable leadership, and they're ready to continue to prove people wrong. This is a company I'm actively buying, and I think is going to dominate the future. I'm going to continue to find these companies that the sentiment is completely wrong. I don't think Adobe is a dying company, and I'm ready to keep putting my money into this dead stock. What are your thoughts on Adobe? Are you buying into the fear, or are you seeing the opportunity? I just want to end with, this is not financial advice, and you should always do your own research. This is research I collected and my thoughts on an investment like Adobe.